Here are 7 huge Easter eggs about the Bad Batch even diehard fans missed, and some of these connect up perfectly to the final season, starting with a detail found all the way back in Rogue One. When Jyn Erso was looking for information about the Death Star, she scrolled past several other Imperial projects, which included a top secret project titled War Mantle. 5 years later, in the 3rd episode of The Bad Batch Season 1, we finally get an explanation of what War Mantle truly is. This secret project is shown to directly relate to the Imperial-wide switchover from clone troopers to Stormtroopers. This would eventually phase out all of the clones and replace them with regular human soldiers. But speaking of interesting tie-ins, Captain Rex brought us to a familiar planet, Baraka, which is a scrapper world where Old Republic ships were being stripped for parts. The planet itself is an Easter egg to the beloved Jedi Fallen Order game, as this is where Jedi Cal Kestis was hiding from the Empire. But it also houses a little nod to the Clone Wars show if you look close enough. When the team touches down on Baraka to meet Rex, they park next to his blue and white Y-Wing. The ship is probably familiar to those that watch the Clone Wars, as it's the same ship Rex and Ahsoka Tano escaped on during the events of Order 66. But if you want some really interesting hidden Easter eggs, look no further than Cideron's Scaleback. Cid's trophy room has multiple, subtle, and major hidden nods and Easter eggs that many missed. The first one we spotted was a pure white Mandalorian helmet on the wall. This may just be another helmet to many, but this is actually a replica of Boba Fett's prototype armor. This is something we haven't seen outside of concept art or collectibles, and would be awesome to see in live action. This could tie Boba Fett into Bad Batch Season 3 very nicely, with a great use for this look. Another little hidden detail is that Cid has a clone pilot and a clone trooper helmet on her wall, which is pretty neat. But the big kicker is what is hung right above her chair. Cid has 2 Westar 34 pistols mounted on her wall. You might recognize these weapons, and that's because they are the 2 pistols that bounty hunter Jango Fett used in Attack of the Clones. If these Easter eggs don't scream a Boba Fett foreshadow for the Bad Batch, I don't know what does. But that doesn't compare to the series bringing a 50-year-old piece of concept art to life. When the Bad Batch arrived at the Empire's secret military base on Daro, they face off with the first Stormtroopers enlisted in the days after the Republic's fall. But many notice they aren't wearing the classic armor and helmets we're used to seeing. The TK Stormtrooper design on these new recruits was actually based off of Ralph McQuarrie's original concept design for Stormtroopers when he was working on A New Hope. The fact they reused this art in canon and gave Ralph a nod for helping shape the look of Star Wars is pretty incredible, but Ralph's hidden nod isn't the only one we found. And this next hidden detail has a huge nod that you have to see. Caleb Doom, aka Kanan Jarrus, making an appearance in the pilot episode of The Bad Batch as a Jedi Padawan was just incredible in and of itself. But this wasn't the only nod to Star Wars Rebels. During this same episode, a Tuka Cat appears on screen for a short moment. A Tuka Cat is a subspecies of the Loth Cat, and as viewers of Star Wars Rebels know, the Loth Cat represents none other than Ezra Bridger. You can't have Kanan without Ezra. Now, the Bad Batch does a pretty great job telling the story of phasing out the clones, but that doesn't stop the show from diving even deeper and including this awesome memorial. The first battle memorial is a wall that includes every name of every clone that was killed on Geonosis in Attack of the Clones. This spot is exactly where Commander Cody and Crosshair had their final conversation before parting ways. The statue was built at the plaza of the Republic Center for Military Operations on Coruscant as a tribute. Pretty great framing for such a pivotal scene. But it was this hidden detail that we found the craziest and extends all the way back through both canon and the extended Legends universe in huge ways. In the Season 1 finale, Mount Tantis was finally brought into canon. Mount Tantis is known for housing Grand Admiral Thrawn's cloning program in Star Wars Legends. It was also the location of Palpatine's first secret laboratories he used to experiment in. But most notably, Mount Tantis is where Palpatine discovered his cloning process that we see in Episode 9, and this is possibly where Grogu was experimented on, assuming, of course, Grogu was the key to Sidious figuring out immortality.